I stared at the divorce papers on my desk, my hands trembling with a mixture of anger and disbelief. The words jumped out from Daniel's statement like a slap in the face. Wife has demonstrated consistent financial incompetence and inability to contribute meaningfully to our marriage. My name is Judith, and at 30 years old, I never expected to be labeled financially useless by my husband of 5 years. Especially not while I was in the final stages of selling my tech startup in Palo Alto. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so painful. I glanced through the glass walls of my office, watching Amanda, my secretary, giggling at something on her phone. She'd been acting strange lately, taking longer lunches, making mysterious phone calls, and being oddly interested in our company's acquisition talks. Now, seeing her designer handbag and new shoes, pieces of the puzzle were starting to click into place. The notification that popped up on my laptop brought me back to reality. Another email from our acquisition team. The deal was nearly complete, $800,000 for my software company, specializing in AI-driven market analysis. I'd kept the negotiations quiet, not out of secrecy, but because I'd learned early in my career that success speaks louder than announcements. Daniel, with his real estate background, had always dismissed my work as playing with computers. He never understood what I was building, and honestly, he never tried. Your little project, he called it, even as we gained clients and recognition in the tech industry. Amanda, I called, breaking the silence. Daniel called. He said he'll be sending someone to pick up his things this weekend. Thank you, Amanda, I replied, keeping my voice neutral. I noticed her subtle smirk as she turned away, her new diamond bracelet catching the sunlight. The same style Daniel's mother had given me for our first anniversary. I turned back to my laptop, opening the secure folder containing all our company's documentation. First thing tomorrow, I would revoke Amanda's access to our systems, standard protocol for an employee giving notice, which I was certain would come any day now. The final divorce papers needed my signature. Daniel wanted a quick, clean break, citing irreconcilable differences and my supposed financial ineptitude. Little did he know that while he was planning his exit, I was closing the biggest deal of my career. I reached for my pen, a strange sense of calm washing over me. Sometimes, the best response isn't a response at all. It's simply letting people reveal who they truly are. 3 days later, I sat across from my attorneys in their sleek downtown Palo Alto office, finalizing both the divorce and acquisition paperwork. The timing was almost poetic, signing away my failed marriage with one hand and securing my company's future with the other. Miss Kennedy, you understand that by not contesting the divorce or disclosing the pending sale, Mr. Harrison will have no claim to your business assets? Barbara, my corporate attorney, asked, pushing her glasses up her nose. I nodded, remembering the night 6 months ago when I first suspected something was wrong. Daniel had been working late more often, and Amanda had started asking peculiar questions about our company's valuation methods and investor contacts. I'd hired a private investigator then, not out of jealousy, but to protect my intellectual property. The photos they provided of Daniel and Amanda's private lunches were almost secondary to my concerns about potential corporate espionage. I understand perfectly, I replied, signing another document. Daniel made his choice, believing I was, I paused, quoting his words with a slight smile, financially useless. I see no reason to correct his assumption. The corporate acquisition team had been explicit, absolute confidentiality until the deal closed. Even our employees didn't know yet, though they'd be pleasantly surprised by the retention bonuses I'd negotiated for them. Well, most of them would be. My phone buzzed with a text from my VP of engineering. Amanda just submitted her resignation, effective immediately. Says she's pursuing an exciting new opportunity. Right on schedule, I murmured, earning a curious look from Barbara. Should we be concerned? She asked. I shook my head. No, just the expected departure of someone who thinks they've found a better opportunity. I didn't mention that I'd already transferred all her access to a monitored account that would track any attempts to access sensitive information. In tech, you learn to prepare for exits before they happen. Later that afternoon, I overheard 2 developers discussing how Amanda had been bragging about her brilliant investment opportunity. Something about exclusive real estate deals that would double investors' money within months. I recognized the gleam of avarice that had probably attracted Daniel. They were perfect for each other in that way, both so eager to get rich quickly that they couldn't see the value of building something real. I turned back to my computer, pulling up the final acquisition checklist. Let them chase their dreams of easy money. I had a company to sell and a future to build. The acquisition deal closed on a Thursday afternoon. As I stood in our office kitchen watching my team celebrate with champagne and seeing their faces light up as I announced their retention bonuses, I felt a profound sense of accomplishment. Not just for the sale, but for building something real, something valuable. "Judith," called out Michael, our lead developer, raising his glass. The best boss who never once mentioned she was secretly a genius millionaire. The room erupted in laughter and applause. I smiled, thinking about how different this was from Daniel's dream of quick riches. He'd always talked about hitting it big with some clever scheme or insider tip, never understanding that true success usually came from years of careful work. My phone buzzed with a message from Barbara. Divorce finalized. Harrison didn't contest any terms. "Congratulations, you're officially single and significantly wealthier." I was about to respond when Tyler from accounting hurried over, his face flushed with excitement that had nothing to do with champagne. "Judith, you won't believe what I just heard," he whispered. "My friend at First Bay Bank says Daniel just took out a massive loan against his real estate holdings. He's liquidating everything to invest in some exclusive opportunity." Tyler made air quotes with his fingers. Apparently Amanda convinced him she had inside knowledge about our company's proprietary trading algorithms. I kept my expression neutral, even as I processed the information. Amanda had never had access to our actual AI technology. What she'd seen was just the user interface we showed to clients. But of course, she wouldn't tell Daniel that. "That's interesting," I replied calmly, taking a sip of champagne. "I'm sure they know what they're doing." Later that evening, as I packed up my office, I found an old photo of Daniel and me at a company Christmas party. He was looking at his phone as usual while I was discussing a new project with our developers. It seemed fitting now. He had never really been present in my world, always looking for something better, something faster. I dropped the photo in the recycling bin and picked up my laptop. Tomorrow, we'd begin the integration process with our acquiring company. I had a 3-year contract to continue leading my team, developing our technology further with the resources of a major tech firm behind us. As I walked to my car, I saw a text from my old private investigator. "Thought you'd want to know. Amanda just bought one-way tickets to the Cayman Islands. Solo traveler." I didn't respond. Instead, I turned off my phone and drove home to my new condo in the hills, where I had a glass of wine on the balcony, watching the sunset over Silicon Valley. Sometimes success isn't about getting even. It's about moving forward and letting others face the consequences of their own choices. 2 months after the acquisition, I was deep in meetings about expanding our AI platform when the first signs of Daniel and Amanda's downfall began to surface. I was reviewing integration plans with our new parent company when Lisa, my former assistant from accounting, called. "Have you seen the news?" she asked without preamble. "Daniel's real estate office just announced their closing. There's a crowd of angry investors outside their building." I pulled up the local business news on my laptop. Sure enough, there was Daniel's office with a group of people holding signs about fraud and demanding their money back. I recognized several faces, other real estate agents who had worked with him over the years. Apparently, they all invested in some kind of exclusive investment fund. "Something about proprietary trading algorithms and guaranteed returns," Lisa continued. "Sound familiar?" I muted my phone and took a deep breath. Of course, Amanda had used her position as my secretary to add credibility to her scheme. She had probably convinced them that working for a tech startup gave her inside knowledge of revolutionary trading software. "Thanks for letting me know," I said finally. "But I'm actually heading into a meeting about our expansion into Asian markets." After hanging up, I turned my attention back to my actual work. Our AI technology was proving even more valuable than anticipated, and we were already exceeding our first quarter projections. I had a responsibility to my team and our investors to stay focused on real opportunities, not drama from my past. But the situation with Daniel and Amanda was impossible to ignore entirely. Over the next few days, more details emerged. They had convinced not just Daniel's colleagues, but also several of his wealthy clients to invest in their exclusive fund. The promise of proprietary trading algorithms, supposedly based on insider knowledge from their connection to my company, had been too tempting to resist. "Mrs. Harrison," a voice interrupted my thoughts. I looked up to see a detective standing in my office doorway. "It's Miss Kennedy now," I corrected him. "How can I help you?" We're investigating a potential investment fraud involving Amanda Martinez and Daniel Harrison. We understand Miss Martinez was employed here. I nodded, pulling up Amanda's employment file on my computer. She was my secretary for 2 years. Her access was limited to basic administrative functions. She had no involvement with our proprietary technology. The detective took notes as I outlined Amanda's role and responsibilities. And when did she resign? About 2 months ago, right before my divorce was finalized. I handed him a copy of her resignation letter. Everything was documented through HR. Are you aware that she and Mr. Harrison have disappeared with approximately $3.2 million in investor funds? I kept my expression neutral. No, but I'm not surprised. Amanda was very interested in our company's acquisition talks, though she never had access to any sensitive information. I assume she used that perceived connection to add credibility to whatever scheme they were running. The detective looked at me curiously. You seem very calm about this. I gestured to the busy office beyond my glass walls, where my team was working on actual innovations. I'm running a legitimate technology company that just sold for $800 million and is now expanding globally. I don't have time to worry about people who chose to believe in get-rich-quick schemes. The next few weeks brought a cascade of revelations. During my morning coffee run at my favorite Palo Alto cafe, I overheard 2 of Daniel's former colleagues discussing their losses. He took everything. My retirement savings, my kids' college fund, one man said, his voice breaking. Amanda showed us all these fake trading reports, said we were making 40% returns monthly. How could we have been so stupid? His companion replied, just because she worked at a tech company, we thought. I quietly paid for my coffee and left. Back at the office, I had more important matters to focus on. Our AI platform was expanding faster than projected, and I was interviewing potential leads for our new Singapore office. Real success, built on real innovation. That afternoon, Barbara called with an update. The FBI is involved now, she said. Apparently, Amanda and Daniel set up shell companies in 7 different states. They're estimating total losses around $5 million. Any sign of them? I paused for a moment, then replied, none yet. 2 days after arriving in the Cayman Islands, their account was drained. They were last seen boarding a yacht, but after that, all traces vanished. Barbara paused. The investigators would like to know if you'd be willing to comment on Amanda's role at your company. I thought for a moment before responding. Send them our HR records and my prior statement. Amanda was a secretary who had no access to our technology. Anything she claimed otherwise was a lie, plain and simple. Barbara added, they also found some interesting emails. Daniel was bragging to investors about leaving his financially useless wife just before his big scheme hit. I couldn't help but smile. Karma often has better timing than we do, I said, recalling his words in the divorce papers. Now, I need to prep for the board presentation, Barbara continued. We're looking to expand into medical AI applications. Later that day, I walked through our office, observing the team at work. The acquisition had allowed us to hire more developers, and our technology was evolving in ways I had only dreamed of. One screen showed our AI analyzing cancer treatment outcomes, while another was predicting climate change patterns. Then my phone buzzed with a news alert. Local real estate mogul and former tech employee charged in multi-million-dollar investment scam. The article included polished photos of Daniel and Amanda, looking professional and promising investors incredible returns based on proprietary AI trading algorithms. Michael, my lead developer, glanced at my phone. Hard to believe they thought they could fake our technology. I set my phone down. People believe what they want to believe, especially when they're looking for easy money. Speaking of money, Michael grinned, our medical AI prototype just passed its first round of testing. Venture capital firms are already calling. I smiled. Let's focus on that. We have a lot of work to do. 6 months into our integration, I was presenting our medical AI breakthroughs at a major tech conference in San Francisco when the full scope of the scandal came to light. The Wall Street Journal published an expose revealing that Daniel and Amanda had started planning their scheme the moment our acquisition talks began. Amanda had used her position as my secretary to create fake documents, combining snippets of our actual AI technology with completely fabricated trading results. Miss Kennedy, a reporter from Tech Weekly, approached me after my presentation. Any comment on the Harrison Martinez investment scandal, given your connection? I replied firmly. My connection is limited to running the legitimate technology company they tried to imitate. Our AI platforms are helping hospitals predict patient outcomes and assisting climate scientists. That's what I'm here to discuss. In my hotel room, I received an email from the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. They had evidence Daniel attempted to access our servers after I revoked Amanda's credentials, trying to steal our trading algorithms. Your security measures prevented any breach, the agent wrote, but we'd like your team's help tracking their digital footprint through cryptocurrency exchanges. I forwarded the request to our security team. We'd help law enforcement, but I had more pressing matters. Our medical AI had just received fast-track approval for hospital trials, and several major healthcare providers were eager to partner with us. Then a text from Barbara popped up. Thought you should know, Daniel was picked up at Buenos Aires airport trying to use a fake passport. No sign of Amanda or the money. I was in the middle of replying when my VP of operations knocked on the door. Sorry to interrupt, but the Singapore team just made a breakthrough with the climate modeling algorithm. They're ready for a demo whenever you are. Set up the call, I said, putting my phone aside. The past could wait, the future couldn't. The next morning, the headlines were full of the story. Amanda had disappeared with most of the stolen money, leaving Daniel to face the consequences. His desperate attempt to flee had failed, and he was facing multiple federal charges. During my closing keynote at the conference, I spoke about the importance of ethical innovation and genuine value creation, without mentioning Daniel or Amanda. Real innovation isn't about quick profits or flashy promises, I told the packed auditorium. It's about solving real problems and creating actual value. Success isn't measured by fast money. It's measured by lives improved and problems solved. The irony wasn't lost on anyone when our medical AI platform won Innovation of the Year, the same day Daniel was extradited to face charges. While he had chased empty promises, we had built something revolutionary. Later, I received another update from the FBI. They'd frozen several offshore accounts, but most of the investor money was gone. Amanda remained at large, likely living off the stolen millions. I closed my laptop and turned my focus to our latest project proposals. Their story was ending, but ours was just beginning. 1 year later, I sat in the courtroom for Daniel's sentencing. He looked older than his 35 years, his confidence replaced by defeat. The judge delivered a harsh verdict. Mr. Harrison, your willing participation in this scheme has destroyed lives and retirement savings. The court sentences you to 12 years in federal prison. I didn't stay to watch him being led away. I had a board meeting to attend, where we'd discuss rolling out our medical AI system to 50 more hospitals. Our technology had already improved patient outcomes by 40%, and our climate modeling division was making significant progress in predicting extreme weather patterns. The media dubbed our story The Tale of Two Paths, contrasting my legitimate success with Daniel and Amanda's fraud. While they had sold lies and stolen dreams, we had built something that was actually changing the world. Amanda was still missing, her whereabouts unknown. Interpol had traced her to Dubai and Singapore, but the trail had gone cold. Daniel's desperation to find her had underscored the completeness of her betrayal. As I drove to our Palo Alto headquarters, I thought about how differently things could have turned out if Daniel had taken the time to understand what we were building, instead of dismissing it as financially useless. But people chasing quick riches rarely recognize real value when they see it. 2 weeks after Daniel's sentencing, I was asked to give the commencement speech at Stanford School of Engineering. Looking out at the eager faces, I saw the same drive that had pushed me to build something meaningful. Success isn't about finding shortcuts, I told them. It's about creating real value. The world is full of people looking for quick wins, but true innovation comes from dedication, integrity, and the courage to build something genuine. After the ceremony, a young woman approached me, diploma in hand. I read about what happened with your ex-husband and former secretary. It must feel satisfying to see them get what they deserved. I paused for a moment. Actually, I've been too busy building something real to focus on their downfall. They chose their path, just as I chose mine. That evening, I received an email from our Singapore team. Our climate modeling AI had helped a small island nation successfully evacuate before a devastating typhoon. Thousands of lives had been saved. Meanwhile, another alert popped up. Federal authorities had just seized the last of Daniel's hidden assets, $42,000 in a forgotten account. As I walked through our office, Now spanning 3 floors and employing over 200 people, I felt a deep sense of contentment. The company Daniel had once dismissed as my little project was now valued at over $100 million, and more importantly, it was making a real difference in the world. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply the satisfaction of building something meaningful while others chase shadows.